Um, there we go. All right. There we go. So, what are we going to talk about? Well, I want to start off by talking about why we talk about ethics. Then we'll talk a little bit about some core ethical principles. And then once we get a little comfortable or start to get uncomfortable, we'll talk about some major ethical dilemmas that we see in our lives around us. And I want to reframe those ethical dilemmas just a little bit, not to say anything is or is not ethical if we're thinking something is not ethical and calling it, but I want to reframe how we work through it, if that makes any sense at all. And if it doesn't, it may, or at least it should. So my plan today is to do these things. However, your experience may vary. And because we're not talking about a real technical insurance product, because we're talking about a people skill, right? I mean, ethics is a people thing. Uh, if this thing goes off the rails and we start to talk about things that are not in the plan, I'm good with it because of two very good reasons. One, the bad news is that we did not file this anywhere for CE. So you can't get any CE credits for this. But the good news is we didn't file this with anybody. So we can do literally whatever we want to do while we're going down this road. So if we start to change direction and look at things from a different perspective, or if we just get bogged down in a conversation, that's cool. We'll be fine. We can do that. That's how these things work. That's how they makes them better. So, um, this, by the way, is not all that can be said about ethics. I mean, we all know whatever state you're in, there's probably, and if you've got an insurance license or have had an insurance license, you know that your state requires a 2, 3, 4 hour ethics update periodically. Anybody who's licensed in Florida is grateful that last year, year before, they cut the law and ethics update down from 5 hours to four. So, and all of those things, those are just a part of it. So there's a lot out there to be said. And we also are not going to dive too deeply into things like copyright and fair use, although that's a part of this conversation. Our good friend Art Carvajal had done a session a few years ago on copyright and fair use. And if we've got that recording available somewhere, we should definitely get it up on the site for you to review. And maybe if we're nice, he'll redo it again and talk about that and generative AI and all those things. So just putting a bug in anybody's ear who may be programming, webinars in the future. So, all right, let's get our conversation going here, shall we? Find out there we go. All right. Have you seen any examples of ethically challenged behavior recently? Anybody? This is the time where you get to be second and chime in and speak. Nobody wants to go first, but everybody wants to go second. So whoever wants to go second can.
Hey guys, it's Cindy. I'm happy to chime in. We're as an education provider. This will shock some of you, but people actually cheat on their courses in terms of time completion, in terms of whether they're present for the whole day. So I would love to see us talk about, kind of how technology has enabled unethical behavior. We have people who add a browser extension to the course and then use it to click to stay in. And I mean, there are legitimate reasons to have a browser extension, right? You might be a gamer or something, but we can't prevent someone from going to Google Store and buying an extension. And it basically clicks your mouse or gives you phantom keystrokes so that you stay logged in and you keep accumulating time in a course. So all kinds of shenanigans going on with online course completions that I would love to, I mean, that's something we look at every single day. Oh, and the regulatory response is everything from, well, it's just a couple of people, let's just keep an eye on it, to we'd like a data call of every single person who ever took a course in this state. So the regulatory responses are really all over the map.
Cindy, that's a great comment. I saw a couple of years ago a CE provider in Florida that was under investigation by the DFS about those kinds of shenanigans with they talked about people would take their credentials and log into multiple computers to get the time logged and all of those kinds of things. I mean, this is a fantastic direction. Matter of fact, something that I wasn't even thinking about. So yeah, we'll circle back on that. We'll talk tech things, Chat GPT, in case you're listening. Um, so since we're talking about that, Ruth, how about our first poll question? Let's see if, or do I need to do it? No,
Did I launch it? Is it launched? I've never used the polls before.
it's
Scout me
launched. It's
in.
live.
Okay.
Okay, so when's the last time you saw someone using content without permission?
Just so I know if I can answer honestly or not, are you recording who answers how and how they answer?
Uh, no.
I'm
That's
just
why we
kidding.
put the last one down.
Oh, Jenny.
Just in case the NSA is listening, we should be sure we spell Zarin correctly.
All right. Do we have responses? Let's see if we got some, if we can see some responses to the poll. Let's see. Oh, so, I mean, within the last year, most of us have seen somebody using content without permission. And it's that in part is kind of what drove this. A member of site had asked me if we could get something scheduled because people were using their organization's content without permission. Um, I was reading an article. I get the local newspaper in my town. Don't judge me. I read the newspaper. It's relaxing. A high school football coach. Now, obviously by now you know I'm in Florida. A Florida high school football coach was talking about the upcoming season, how the team had done in prior seasons, how things had been going in their rebuilding their program, and he was asked the question, do other are some teams paying high school football players to come and play for them? And his answer was yes. He was aware of school districts, high schools paying players to play. Is it against the rules? Possibly. I haven't examined the rules. Is it at least unethical to teach a kid that they can get anywhere if that people will pay them for this? I mean, this is the line. I mean, yeah, absolutely. With name, image likeness, right? I mean, that has completely changed college sports. Uh, oh, Sandy, good question. Isn't Disney companies suing now? Disney and Paramount or one of the other studios is suing a generative AI company about generating their images and using them, and there are absolutely accurate there. One of the reasons we wanted to talk about this in particular, wow, that was not what I was expecting. There we go. Okay. Think about us as training people, right? In our position, we are outside of the realm of the leadership roles. We are outside of business units. Some of us work as training professionals for companies that we don't even work for our audience or our customers directly, right? I mean, I am my business is we sell training online. Jen, I know you're teaching for the institutes and you're teaching webinars for outside customers. Many of you are teaching for customers that are specific business units or within your company or whatnot. And being outside of the leadership structure, yet still being a person with some imputed authority or imputed influence, we have to understand that the what we do is as important as anybody else, and us acting ethically is of critical importance. We are in a different kind of position, and what we do may impact that authority, trust, and influence in the future. I mean, anything from, when I was a trainer for an underwriting department, there were times when um, leaders would ask, how strict are the grading policies for tests when it was a test that was required to be passed for to continue to work, and those kind or asking about, can people take these tests multiple times until they pass or things like that. I mean, people don't want to lose their job over a test. And at the same time, you have to maintain the integrity of the programs you're putting together. And so those are real issues there. So, all right, back up a half step here. Okay. So what happens when we act unethically? Maybe you just go, yeah, okay, sorry. Still, me and Prezi, we're working it out. I use just as a technical piece. I usually put images of my slide right here, but I didn't do that this time. So that's me. I want to say something, and I want you to think about it and respond. Okay, either out loud or in the chat, or if you hang up on us, then I know that I've actually irritated you, and I should probably move. Uh, I can teach you how to act ethically. I cannot make you an ethical person. Does that make sense? Is that something that we could agree to? Because I mean, I can teach you the principles. I can say things. I can help to motivate you. I can help to um, tell you that how why we should be ethical. But the truth of it is, interesting. Now I've got to get hold of that, whatever AITA is on Reddit. And chat is just totally distracting to me. So you just have to understand that squirrel. So anyway, the fact of it is that a person. Um, okay, got it. Can we just be honest with each other for a second? We know people who are just not ethical, right? And and unethical people will can put on the facade until the right pressure points hit, and then it breaks down, and they will do whatever they feel like is necessary to do. And on the other hand, perfectly ethical people, people who want to live a good, ethical, moral, righteous, judgment-free life, right, can make mistakes. And and we never want to. I'm a kind of person that wants to err on the side of grace for people. But if you make a mistake once, okay, we can get past that. But if you prove to me that you're not ethical, that I'm going to believe you, kind of thing. So, an ethical person can make mistakes. No one is beyond redemption. All right, let me ask you this question, Ruth. Are we ready for poll question number two? Maybe. All right. When someone breaks your trust, how long does it take to restore it? Let's just be honest with each other. And it's a safe space. Nothing but family here, by the way. I am not truly surprised by this. This makes this knowing the people that we have here, this makes sense to me. I was I was a little concerned that we get people that say, "Are you kidding me?" But I think that what we've got here are people who, as people who deal with people, we all have dealt with things that have gone the wrong way in otherwise good people. Ethical failures can impact a person's position. We can classify ethical failures. We might say something's minor. We might say something's major, but the truth is, these things happen. Now, of course, sometimes an ethical breach means that you've got to take ultimate kind of consequences. People need to lose their jobs. People need to change their livelihoods. Um, if you at some point today get interested at all in a sad story full of drama and people doing the wrong thing, you could look up the Strems law firm from the great state of Florida. So if you have not heard of Scott Strems and his law firm, uh, this is an example of unethical behaviors that cost Scott Strems, an attorney, his job, his business, and his license to practice law. According to an Insurance Journal article published in 2020, by the way, this was all going on during the height of COVID, so you could watch these court proceedings live streamed on YouTube. And I'd say they were fascinating, but they were long and pretty boring. Nothing is there's nothing quite as boring as watching court drama that's real because it's not like it is on TV. Anyway, here are some of the things they were accused of: intentionally missing scheduled court appearances, failing to properly communicate with clients, failure to properly explain settlements to clients, submitting false or misleading affidavits. And I could go on. In the end, the state Supreme Court and the State Bar Association agreed that he needed to be disbarred, and he lost his livelihood over a pattern of this kind of behavior. All right, let's talk about some core ethical principles. We're moving along, and by the way, keep interrupting this and keep asking questions. We're going to talk about personal integrity. Personal integrity. Here's what dictionary.com says. Integrity means adherence to a moral and ethical principle, soundness of moral character or honesty. Also says the state of being whole, entire, or undiminished, or a sound, unimpaired, or perfect condition. And now when you think about integrity, the word in English comes through the same word as the word integer, which any of our math nerds would remember from back back in high school math days. Uh, yeah, this it's an example, Anna, of the old adage: "Fool around and find out." We know from our math days that an integer is a whole number. Well, so the definitions of integrity all kind of work together. Oh, say that louder for the folks in the back, Guy. I like that one. I've heard people say that personal integrity is being being the same person when you're alone and in the dark as you are in public and in the light. And being a person of integrity doesn't mean we don't make mistakes, doesn't mean we don't have failures, but it means that we strive not to make mistakes. We understand the consequences of the mistakes that we make. And when we make those mistakes, we immediately say, I did it, and I'm sorry, and I'll try and do better next time. If you're an insurance person, you don't ever make promises. You say, I'll try. Because we know that we just know. Personal accountability. If you're a person of integrity, you try and do the right thing, right? In your heart of hearts, you're seeking not to not to go the wrong direction intentionally. You're seeking ways to avoid going in the wrong direction. And one way of doing that is by having some accountability. Accountability is not whether or not we trust you or you trust yourself. It's a tool that helps all of us to remember we're not alone in this kind of ethical journey. Some personal accountability tools are ways to keep us on the ethical path when the opportunity or temptation to stray pops up, and they help us to make the decisions we would otherwise make if we weren't in some way conflicted. Let's just be honest about it, because there's an ethical problem comes up when there's a conflict, right? Between what I know I ought to do and what the pressure is telling me I really need to do right now. You know, and for some people, it's what we can get away with. I mean, back to Cindy's point about the about trying to fool timing with CE classes. I have a friend that does live CE classes online, and he's had people call in asking him, "Hey, I see you've got this 4 hour CE class. How long does the class actually take?" Takes 4 hours. Yeah, I know it's filed for 4 hours, but how long does it really take? No, no, it 4 hours. Do they do that to you all the time, Cindy?
Yeah, I get that question all the time. It's like, I know it's approved for 20 hours, but really, how long is it going to take me to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Or Jen says, "Can you make a noise when the attendance slide pops up?" I do some online CE classes, and the organization I do them for the Alliance, and the rule is uh, we don't announce those poll questions. And you know what? We don't announce those poll questions. We- I've I have heard some people who have kind of made some noise uh, or they've made some kind of comment, but yeah. Oh my goodness. Or it's in the chat. They chat to everybody else. Hey, did I just miss a poll question? Uh, can't even. Oh, by the way,
True.
in case anybody wonders, I am okay with silence while we're looking at this and just reading the chat. Students have just the AI companion attend a live webinar and they want credit. No. Okay, those these things that we're seeing in the chat, I hope that the chat is being recorded, like we can, download a text file or something when we're done. It is so awful, the things that people will want to get away with. And by the way, this is why they want us to learn ethics over and over and over again. I like that comment, Heather. She says, "I think we're dealing with a crisis of human intelligence with virtual environments and also an ethical crisis. It's so easy not to be present in things today." Yeah. I mean, a generation ago, we most of us wouldn't think about sending a proxy to go attend a class for us, but now we've got virtual AI assistants who might do that as well. Chat GPT giving her different answers for the final exam. Mm. Oh, I wonder, and I love that that we're dealing with this through this personal accountability lens at the moment, because when you think about this, if somebody were to stop and think, that's another conversation altogether. If somebody's will stop and think about what they're getting ready to do, is it is it just is it my imagination, or would most reasonable people who are ethically minded say, you know what, maybe I'm going in the wrong direction. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. I mean, there's all kinds of factors that would make you want to make a decision that you otherwise wouldn't make. And I have found, tell me if I'm wrong about this, folks, but I have found that the faster I have to make a decision, the easier it is for me to make the wrong decision. It's, it's everything as from as simple as when you when a if I'm going to buy something and the salesperson is pressuring me to buy immediately, I'm looking to pump the brakes and say no, especially in an era where there's so much there's so much potential for it to be somebody trying to steal my money. I mean, you know, get on Facebook Marketplace looking for a new whatever, a new e-bike or whatever you're looking for, and says, "I've got one, and but I need you to pay me right now in eBay gift cards." I wasn't in. My mother got scammed out of $1,000 that way for thinking she was putting a deposit on a home, a place to live before I could stop it. Anyway, stop and think about it. If the decision feels like stop, and you could also, by the way, phone a friend. If you're dealing with an ethical situation, ping us, somebody, anybody. If you got a choice to make, could I do this or could I do this? Somebody outside the situation can always give you some advice or be the sounding board while you talk out loud, think out loud the situation. And many times, I think we've all been there when we are thinking through a decision, when we think it out, when we talk it out loud, we don't need advice. We just needed to hear ourselves say what was going on in our minds and then make the right choice. By the way, sometimes we just need somebody who's willing to call us out. And by the way, there's a bunch of people on this meeting today that I know would call any of us out if they needed to. If nothing else, if you ask, I'll call you out. I don't care. Because I like you too much to not let you go the wrong way. No need to stop and think. Ask AI if your decision is ethical. Known companies have had been dealing with people doing phone interviews for jobs, and it's not the person who ends up showing up for the job. Oh, it's bad. And and let's just we've been dealing with this AI thing and such. So let me just ask you. I'm gonna come back to that one, Jen, because I like that. Let me just ask you, does the does the existence of generative AI, Chat GPT, and all the other things that people can use, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, all of them, does that make people think that whatever they're using it for, there's nothing wrong with it? I mean, serious head nods there. I
Yeah,
mean,
especially if it's a company sanctioned tool, Patrick. My company has said we don't use any AI except for Copilot. So now a lot of our staff think whatever comes out of Copilot is sanctioned.
isn't that so? So, I mean, isn't that what happens, right? When we say this is something you can use, and then people say, well, they haven't said no. That's absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jenny, I'm right there with you. My company is encouraging the use of AI tools in so many different ways. And okay, we'll just be honest here, right? The outline for today, I talked it through with ChatGPT. Now the content, the stories, the individual pieces, the rest of that was me. But the beginning pieces, and I tried. Prezi has an AI presentation generator, and I didn't like it, so I went through and rebuilt it. I didn't like what it did. So yeah, it's a great tool for sure. Yes, people think whatever comes out of Copilot's accurate. People, people, we all understand how to spell assume. Absolutely. So going back, Jen, you mentioned mentioning carrier names in a CE class. So writing a class on data privacy, I like to tell stories. Really? Jen tells some stories now. Cases involving individual characters. She wants to know, should she mention names? Ruth says that she makes up carrier names and insured names. Um, so you called people and got some feedback. Let's talk about that, Jen.
So when I was an agent, I made it a practice not to talk about other carriers. I don't know enough about them. I'm not going to badmouth my competitors, just whatever. But when you're talking about data privacy, there's all of the telematics lawsuits about carriers that have allegedly, not proven yet, sold data. There's the number of larger carriers that were fined in New York for data breaches. I mean, you on and on and on and on. And it makes for good stories. Like, these things are happening like right now. And it also opens up a broader conversation about user agreements. What are you agreeing to when you do all this? So, in talking about this, when I wrote it, I used the carrier names because these are lawsuits. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh, should I do it? Should I do it? And so, yeah, instead of just sitting there waffling back and forth in my head, I called 3 trusted people in different roles in the insurance industry, an agent, an adjuster, and another trainer. And everybody said, I don't know why, but I hate it. And I was like, that's good enough for me. Yeah, same. And I don't know why, but I hate it. I just feel like there could be more to the story. I could be opening myself up for liability. Maybe
Mhm.
that's really not even my concern. It's just I don't want to be seen as bad mouthing anyone because our industry is the subject of so much bad mouthing anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, I can agree with that, and I like the fact that when it didn't sit well with you, you said maybe there's something here, and you reached out to some trusted people who also said, it, and by the way, for if I trust you, and you say I'm not sure why, but it doesn't sit well with me, that's going to be good enough, you know. Ooh, be careful there, guy. You might get into some IP problems. Disney is really jealous. Yes, yes, she does. Chantel likes to tell some stories. She's all about the fairy tales. All right, we talked about accountability. Let's talk about respect. Okay, let's uh let's throw up another poll here real quick, and I may skip a couple of things. But it's all right. When you're acting unethically, who's that trainer disrespectful to? Yep, I agree with that totally. All the above, for sure. I have to tell these stories. Um, when it comes to creating content, um, it's not that we never use other people's content, but if we credit them when we do, that's another thing. Um, see if I can find the quote. I'll mention it later. Okay, good. Mark Twain wrote in a letter to Helen Keller that almost all of what we produce is copied from what other people produced first. In the end, when we know that we're quoting from someone else, or when we know that we got the idea from this person or that video, we should just tell everybody where they can find it. And I think that adds to your authority and authenticity. Um, when that story I just got, Helen Keller was being accused of plagiarism, and Mark Twain came to her defense as a fellow writer and storyteller. He said, look, most none of my ideas are original. Just the way I said it is original. And love or hate Mark Twain, he had a tendency to tell the truth in ways that were less than comfortable. All right, let's talk about some major ethical dilemmas here. Um, Let me just ask this question. What do you think when somebody says we've got to get this done no matter the cost? I love it when I just see head shakes. They're not in the insurance industry. You're not wrong. It's not true. Yeah. That's such a simple phrase. Sandy, yeah, wonder where that person draws a line. And that's the thing. It sounds so simple. Yeah, no matter the cost, really? So if I said, "Hey, we can get this done, but it's going to cost us another $100,000," is that the cost you're talking about? Or, "Hey, we can get it done, but it's going to take us an extra 6 months to a year." I love that, Ruth. Christopher Booker said there are only seven basic plots in storytelling. Everything else is a variation on these themes. Yeah. Whenever somebody says no matter the cost, what they're thinking about primarily is no matter what it costs you, get it done. And they don't care about your integrity. Matter of fact, if you violate your integrity, if you violate your ethical understanding of life, they'll probably be one of the first people to throw you under the bus. They don't mean, oh, if we got to spend another $100,000 to get this thing done, let's do that. What they mean is, what's it worth to you? What are you willing to compromise on? Uh, is it research or is it stealing? I love this quote from Stephen Wright. To steal from one person is plagiarism. To steal from many is research. I mean, we've been talking about this, and it's been a part of the chat here for the last couple of minutes. But it's impossible to separate what is a new idea in my head from all of the stuff that we're reading, right? I mean, the only way that I was able to co-author a book was that I've been reading things and studying things. And right now, I I picked up this habit in college, and it's not a it's I don't know that's a bad habit, but it's not a good habit. But I'm reading three books right now, and I don't finish one. I pick up the other one, and I go back and forth, uh and that's yeah. Chat GPT. Good job, Ruth. Oh, uh, we don't know what we have to credit the source. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but where did Chat GPT get that information? Since we're talking about that, okay. we we've already talked about it. We've used we've used Chat GPT all over the place. The question is not are you going to use it, but how much are you going to use it and what are you going to use it for? You know, and we've talked about this a little bit, but we're using these kinds of generative AIs for all kinds of things. Um, I saw a fantastic post on LinkedIn, and the poster said, "I asked ChatGPT based off of everything that I have, all the prompts I've used, what are three things that you know about me?" And it told them. And so I took that, and I didn't like the answers I got. And then I said, "Well, okay, give me three things I need to improve on." And you're right, Jen. It's creepy how accurate the answers are. I mean, uh, by now, ChatGPT is probably the employee in my company I talk to the most. Oh, have it roast your Insta. Oh, people are getting caught uh, using ChatGPT in their work. And Meta versus Avianca, plaintiff's attorney filed a brief, and eventually came out that one of the attorneys used ChatGPT to write out the brief. They didn't get in trouble for using ChatGPT. They got in trouble because they never would confess to it. And the in the end, the judge ordered that the attorneys write letters to the client, the plaintiff, and the judges that their brief had cited in non-existent cases, detailing what they'd done, attaching court transcripts, the judge's orders, and more. The judge said, "I'm not going to make them apologize, because if I make you apologize, you don't mean it. But I'm going to make you tell everybody what you did." So if you're going to use ChatGPT, just own it. And by the way, don't make stuff up. Um, we were just talking about, not naming names with insurance companies. But anyway, Francesca Gino was a professor at the Harvard Business School until May, when she lost her position and tenure after an investigation concluded that she had manipulated the data in recent papers on ethics and honesty. Just let you hold on to that one for just a second. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. As of May 27th, she'd been fired by Harvard. Many of her papers were being retracted. And by the way, this case is still in litigation with how it all worked out. But in the end, they fired her for what was thought of as manipulating data. Okay, let's deal with talking about. Come on, there we go. All right, three things. One, the edge. So okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there and let you know exactly how old I am and some things that you need to know about me. Growing up, when I had my little cassette Walkman with me, I'm riding my bike through town delivering newspapers and using the Top Gun soundtrack. When Danger Zone came on, yes, we tried to take it a little bit more dangerous. We rode the bike a little harder. We tried to pop curbs and yes, and all of that thing. I stopped doing that the one time I went to do a little wheelie, and the front wheel went straight and didn't come up with the rest of the bike. That hurt. Anyway, a lesson on getting too close to the edge. Here's the point. The If we know where the edges are, we can back away. And that's the point. Rather than seeing what kinds of things we can get away with, because there's a lot of that in this world, why don't we just take a look at where is the edge and just stay back for that, for away from that. Um, I know people who love to go to beaches, and I know people who love to go to scenic places. But what they don't love are like cliffs. So the first time me and a friend had gone out to California, we were coming up to a beach that was at the bottom of a cliff. From about 10 foot back, my friend said, "Yep, I can see it just fine from here." Staying away from the edge. Ethical decision making also gets easy if you just take those decisions off the table in advance. I will not do this, period. I will not go in that in that direction. You know, the pop culture references, they just get better with age. That's all I'm saying. It's it. You know, I know that it sounds good. I think they do, Guy. Maybe they don't. I know it sounds good to say, well, we'll just decide in advance what we are and what we aren't going to do. And I had all the reasons and excuses why I shouldn't say that. But truly, if you make certain decisions in advance, you can say, well, I've decided this, therefore I can't do that. I've decided that I'm going to do this job, therefore I can't do that job. You know, going back to that whatever it takes thing. So when people say that, they're thinking about, you know, whatever you've got to do to make this happen. But you know what? In the end, no matter what I do, I may if I don't get this presentation done, I may disappoint you. And if I don't get the presentation done, I may disappoint myself. But if I don't get this presentation done, nobody loses a limb. Nobody dies. Nobody lo- I may lose out on future opportunities, but nobody loses a job. Nobody ends a relationship unless you just really hate me because I didn't do my job the way I was supposed to do. All of those things, most of the decisions that we make are not so critical that they can't be undone or fixed if we're willing to take an ethical stand. You know, somebody may they can't take away your birthday. Somebody may not like you, and you know what? It's possible you could lose a job over an ethical decision. Is that a job worth keeping? You know, and it's easy to say in a very clean environment right now where where we don't have to make those decisions. But anyway, in the gray area, twilight is my least favorite time of day to do anything. I love to sit and watch the sun come up. I love to sit and watch the sun go down. But if I have to drive or walk anywhere, I hate it because it's dangerous. Not only is that when all the bugs come out in Florida, but you can't see anything. One of these days I'll learn not to pull the chat up, but that's not today. When I was in the army, we would be on highest alert while we're doing field exercises during the hours of twilight in the morning and the evening because that's when it's hardest to see. that's when that's when your eyes can fool you. And when you're living in the gray space, that's when things get tough. And by the way, one last piece of advice if you're dealing with something that's a gray area and you have to make a decision, let me ask you this. Do you want to explain that in front of your grandmother, a court, or a camera? If you don't want to have to explain that to them, then don't do it. Wow.
Patrick, you have been so great today, and I feel like I'm cutting you off, but we're out of time.
Well, the conversation's been so good,
It
the
has.
audience has been so wonderful.
It absolutely has. The chat has been just amazing. And all of the comments are so great. And I absolutely love them. Um, do you want to tell them about your happy and then I'll do my
Yes.
part?
Okay, so I have 2 copies of my book here, and thanks to site, we're gonna send you all, we're gonna send 2 people a copy, and I'll even write a personal note in there that says, "Wow, you sat and listened to me for an hour. Go you."
All right. I'm going to replace Patrick's share and we're going to go to the infamous Wheel of Names. Um, So just hang tight. Don't leave yet. Let's see. Let's see who's gonna get picked. There it goes. Chris Kristen. Kristen, Kristen, send me, do a private message. Don't like
Okay.
put it in don't let everybody see, but I need your mailing address.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're gonna take Kristen off the wheel and we're gonna go again. Sandy. Sandy, same thing. Send me your name and address. Well, I know your name, but send me your name and address. Oh, I better write down who these people are, that one.
Hey, Ruth,
Yes.
I just noticed that you were sending me timing warnings.
They redid the whole, they've done the whole like the private message thing. They've redone it. And I'm like, he's not seeing them. I'm gonna have to cut him off. He's gonna kill me. It's gonna be awful. Patrick, tell them how they can get your book if they did not win a copy of it today.
Yeah, it is available on Amazon, and it's available both. It's available as a trade paperback or as a snazzy hardcover. I know. Or, I mean, for those of you who like to read on your Kindle and who doesn't, I mean, we've got the Kindle edition there as well. Working on the audiobook. That's a project, and that I'm learning a lot doing that as well. So
Awesome. I want to thank everybody again for coming and hanging out with us. Make sure if you haven't followed Patrick on LinkedIn, I posted the link earlier. Go out and follow him. He has some amazing posts. He does a weekly little post, and it's just great. And check out his book and come back and join us next month. And we will see you guys then. Thank you so much.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, stop recording.